Black Bookie, which is very cool. You got to stop by and check that out. And his slogan is, and I haven't hit this before, I'm going to hit it this time because it's the best one. His slogan is, if you snooze, you lose. And indeed, that is the case. There are only so many money-making opportunities to be had, and he's going to tell you where they all are. It's the one and only Black Bookie. It's Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe, how are you today?
Good evening, America. Welcome to the Snooze You Lose podcast. I'm your host, Uncle Joe. This is a sports and a sports betting podcast where the motto is and always will be win together, lose together. Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms at The Black Bookie. Thank you for joining us here live on Millions for another week. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, tell a friend and tell a friend, share the stream. New listeners, old listeners, you know how we rock. We don't try and take up too much of your time. We missed the show last week, had some technical difficulties. Computer was doing an update. By the time it got done, the stream was canceled, so we didn't record last week. But we are back this week. Not going to take up too much of your time. I'm going to jump into a few topics I wanted to talk about. I was traveling. Just landed yesterday from Dallas. I was in Dallas. Went to the Cowboys-Seahawks game on Thursday night for Thursday Night Football. It was an awesome game, a close game. My dad's a big Cowboys fan. Well, his whole family really is a huge Cowboys fan, so we had a little family vacation, went out there. I told him before we even left, I said, listen, the Cowboys are going to win this game, but they're not going to win it like how they beat the Commanders the week before on Thanksgiving. It's not going to be one of those type of nights. So you got to sit there, hold on to your seat, be patient, but they're going to win the game. They'll win the game, but they aren't going to blow the Seahawks out, and that's exactly what happened. I took Seattle personally +9, but I knew the Cowboys were going to come out and take care of business, but I knew it wasn't going to be a blowout because, one, Seahawks had way too much they were still fighting for this year, and also the Cowboys got nothing but the Eagles on their mind coming up in the upcoming week. So they were looking forward to Philly. You know their schedule watching. So I knew it was going to be a close game, and it was a great game. I'm glad. I'd much rather be in attendance for a close game like that than see a 45-10 beatdown, even if it's my team. I still, even blowouts get boring. You know, it's like, yeah, you get to cheer, you're seeing a lot of offense, but you want to see a close game. You want to see a good game. You don't want to have to be sweating and panicking, but you want to see a close game. Jerry World is insane. It looks crazy on TV, but even being there, the only word I could really use to describe it, and it still doesn't do it justice, is spacious. It's just so spacious. Even the concourse where you just walk around to use the bathroom or get food or whatever, it's just so open and, you know, uncongested. It's just so spacious. It's huge. It's ginormous. It's insane. So it was awesome to be there. It really makes MetLife look like my backyard. It's just such a huge venue. It was awesome to be there. Also went to America Airlines to see Mavs versus OKC. Saw that game on Saturday night. Another great game to be at. I didn't even realize until the game was over that the Mavs went on a 30-0 run. Like, obviously, I knew they went on the run. I was there, right? I obviously saw them come back and battle back and get back into the game and end up even going up 6. But I didn't realize the magnitude of the run that they went on to come back in that game. It was a surprise. Not a complete surprise, but it was a gift from my wife. She took me to the game, that game. We went on Saturday, and I'm sitting there, and the first half, I'm like, okay, they're down 24. I'm not too worried because this basketball teams go on runs, and they shot so poorly in the first half. I'm like, okay, they're not going to shoot this bad in the second half, but will they be able to get stops? Because they couldn't get any stops. OKC really showed their youth because in basketball, there's no reason you should go 6 minutes without a point. You shouldn't go 6 possessions without scoring a point. This isn't like it's football or it's hockey or soccer where, you know, you could get shut out. You could not score for a long stretch period of time. But in the NBA and the basketball period, especially the way the game is played now, there's really no reason you should go 6 minutes without a basket. Yeah, at some point you have to just get to the line and get fouled and get a point to try and stop the bleeding. So I didn't realize it was such a big run. I didn't realize it was a 30-0 run over 6 minutes. It was insane. It was, like I said, so they're battling back. I'm sitting there. I'm telling her, I'm like, all right, I'm going to give it another 2 minutes or so, and then we're going to see we might slide out and try and beat some of this traffic. And then they just possession after possession and keep chipping away, figuring out a way. And, it's after seeing that it was a 30-0 run, it hurt even more kind of because it's like, damn, to come back and go on a 30-0 run and still lose, that just can't happen either. It's like it's okay to lose, but to come back and do something that's unheard of, a 30-0 run, go up 6 in your own building, you got to be able to put that game away. I mean, you have all the momentum and the crowd's behind you now. You're fired up. OKC's back against the wall. Like I said, they really started to show their youth, a young team that's really going to be good and really going to be a problem in the West. But showing their youth going that long without a possession. Also, like I said, that's coaching too. You just can't let that happen. You can't go 6 minutes without a bucket in basketball. It's just unheard of. So to come back, go on such a heck of a run, because everybody goes on a run, but to go on that type of run, get the crowd behind you, take the lead, and still choke it away in the last 2 minutes, it really stung. But the thing I want to talk about most too about this game, if you're going to go to a game, right, I don't care what sport it is. The only sport I might leave out of this conversation is soccer, because I know overseas it's a different beast. It's a different animal. But American sports, if you're going to go to a game, and if you're going to be with your kids or your wife or your girlfriend, there is no reason you should be fighting or getting into any competition at the game when you have those people with you. I mean, you shouldn't be doing it, period. Because it's not like you're going to knock somebody out in the stands and then the players are going to hit you up like, oh, yo, we saw you banging for us in the stands. Come join us for Thanksgiving dinner. Like, or come over for the holidays. Like, these guys don't know you. These athletes don't know you. They don't care about you. So you shouldn't be fighting at games regardless. But I get it sometimes to an extent. You've been drinking. Sometimes people get a little disrespectful. Things happen. But if you're with your wife, or like I said, your wife or your girlfriend, you're with your kids or your wife or your girlfriend, there is no reason you should be getting into that much of a competition leading to a fight with people like that with you. We're at the Mavs game. We're seeing this guy going back and forth with OKC fans. And we look over, he's literally with his wife and 2 kids. One of the kids couldn't be older than 6. He's with his wife and 2 kids just going back and forth with these fans. To the point where they're not even talking about the game anymore. They're making fun of his hairline, the way he dresses, what school he graduated from, what he does for a living. Nothing to do with either team. Nothing to do with the game. First of all, I don't even understand how that's enjoyable. I understand trash talking. I've been there. Like, I might jar back and forth for a minute or something like that. But I'm not going to be talking to you back and forth for a whole quarter. I didn't pay money to watch this game. I'm with my family. I'm not going back and forth with you for 20 minutes about nothing. And like I said, these players don't know if you knock out this OKC fan, Luka's not inviting you over. Luka's not coming to tell you to come meet his newborn baby. He don't know you. But then we see literally that guy kind of walks away, and a few other Mavs fans in front of him, they jump into it. Beer start getting thrown, popcorn start getting thrown. This girl gets drenched with beer all over her. And she's just sitting there crying, just sitting in her seat crying as her boyfriend or fiance, whatever he is to her, is still sitting back, going back and forth with Mavericks fans while she's sitting there drenched in beer crying. How much of an idiot do you have to be? No one cares that much. You should not be invested or care. There's nothing wrong with being a fan. You could decorate your whole house, your car, get tattoos, your pillowcases. You could dream about this team, die for this team. But there's no reason you should care that much with your significant other or your children with you at the game. There's no reason you should care that much where you're not even paying attention to your kids or you're putting them in harm's way for a team, like I said, that don't know. They don't know you. Yes, of course, they're all going to say, we appreciate our fans and nothing out there fans. That's what they're supposed to say. That's what they're supposed to say. They're at work. You pay to see them perform their jobs. They're at work. They're not inviting you over for Christmas. They're not inviting you over for Thanksgiving. They don't care if you beat somebody up in the stand. I don't have time to be getting beat up or falling down the stairs or breaking my hand. So I got work to go to. I'm not banging for any team. like I said, things happen. People might get a little disrespectful. There is drinking involved. Things do happen. But that should, at some point, it should snap. Like, oh, wait, my 6-year-old son is here. Let me chill out. Or my girlfriend is sitting here crying with beer all over her. Let me stop. Maybe I've reached my point. Especially when you won the game. The OKC fan wouldn't stop. You won the game. Barely, but you won the game. It was just really crazy to see. We just got to snap into reality and figure out at a certain point, like, it's not that deep. It's really not that deep. It's at no point can it be that much. Can it be that now? Like I said, if players was giving out tickets or money or telling you to come kick it with them, meet me at the club, something like that, for dropping somebody, knocking somebody out. All right, if there was an incentive, rather, besides prison or injuries, might make sense. But there's not. So there's no reason you shouldn't be fighting at games, period. But you should be definitely not fighting at games if you got your kids or your significant other with you. But overall, an awesome trip. Jerry World is insane. It's so spacious. I would definitely go back. We saw a great game. Glad my family got to see a good game. Glad my dad got to see a good game. OKC versus the Mavs. American Airlines, like I said, it was cool. Saw a good game too. Saw a great comeback, but you can't go on a 30-0 run and lose that game. It's just too much on your side, too much momentum, too much effort, too much fight coming back to let that one slip away. So Mavs really gotta get it going on the defensive end, because that's where the issue really lied. I mean, they shot poorly, so poor in the first half, but couldn't get stops. And OKC will be a problem there. I think they believe they're top 5 in scoring. We know about the weapons they have with Shea and Chet, but they definitely showed some youth, and that could be a concern coming down the stretch in the playoffs, because it's very early in the season, but that's going to be something you got to look out for, because that's just a 30-0 run is just something that cannot happen. NFL, we got Monday Night Football. Like we usually get you guys ready for the game tonight. We got the Jaguars against the Bengals. A game I'm not really paying much attention to, because the Jags should absolutely take care of business and get this W. They got a big game on deck. I was just looking at it, I believe. They got a big game on deck. Against the Browns. It is a big game. 2 playoff teams. The Browns are still fighting for it. We're going to get to that, actually. The Browns are still fighting for a playoff position. But the reason I wasn't really paying attention to this game at all tonight. The Jags, like I've been telling you, I'm going to die on this hill. I've been saying it since week 1. The Jags are my pick to come out the AFC, and we continue to see the Chiefs struggling. The Bills, I don't believe in at all. The Dolphins, I don't believe in at all. There's too many quarterback issues with the Steelers, too many quarterback issues with the Browns. There's no reason. I don't see why the Jags can't come out the AFC, and I've been saying it since week 1. I'm going to continue to die on this hill. That's my team to come out the AFC. But they are getting their first Monday Night Football game tonight in 12 years. 12 years the Jags are going to be on Monday Night Football. First time in 12 years. So you have to imagine they are going to be coming out in this first half, jacked up, with that home crowd behind them, ready to go, ready to put on a show on prime time to show people what they've been missing. I mean, they've had some games on London, that are nationwide, but that's at 9:30 in the morning. People weren't getting up to watch that. So now they're on prime time. Unfortunately, they're playing. This should have been a better matchup, but we know Joe Burrow's out for the year. So a huge disadvantage for the Bengals. But I do expect the Jags to come out and light it up. I saw a stat earlier, actually, right before I hopped on the air. They are 8-3 against the spread this year. So the line right now at -10.5. They are 8-3 against the spread, and they have won 7 of their last 8. And I've been telling you guys week after week after week. I said, even when they had got off to a slow start and they had that loss against the Texans, I said it's okay. This team, Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence, Josh Allen, Calvin Ridley, this team is going to figure it out. Doug Peterson is the right coach to help a quarterback take that next step. He did it with Nick Foles. He's going to do it with Trevor Lawrence. Calvin really came back after being suspended for sports betting. He had something to prove. This team, all they do is late set 7 out of 8. best team against the spread right now, 8-3 against the spread on the year. So there's no reason. There's not a single box I could check that would even make me think to lean the Bengals way tonight. Without Joe Burrow, there's not a single box I could check that would make me think that the Bengals would cover this line tonight with how well Jacksonville has covered the spread. But I threw a little money on the first half because I just think seeing that stat, their first game on Monday night in 12 years, if you don't come out fired up, ripping somebody's head off, then that might make me change my Super Bowl prediction. But I don't see any way they don't come out tonight in front of the Florida fans, in front of Duval, and get things rocking. So I like the Jags in the first half. Our article play, we cashed another one. I said this not last show, obviously, because we didn't make it, but the show before that. If there's any day to tail my plays, it's on Sunday. You should be checking every day because they're always posted, obviously, full transparency. You see when we're hot, you see when we're cold. I tell you guys when we're winning, I tell you when we're losing. But if there's any day that you say to yourself, no matter what I put out, I'm taking it, it's Sunday. Because now we are now moved to 11-4 in our last 15 Sunday plays. 11-4. We are been almost damn near automatic on Sunday. We cash again with 49ers -3, a rocking chair winner. The Eagles, I'm not gonna hit the panic button on them, right? I think they're still definitely gonna be a contender. We mentioned this plenty of times. Whenever the ball is in Jalen Hurts' hands, I said this in the article too. Whenever they have the ball, they can score, but they can't stop a nosebleed. That defense is bad, and they've escaped losses the last 3 weeks. Games they should have lost. They should have lost to Buffalo. They should have lost to KC. Should have lost to the Cowboys. And they damn sure should have almost lost to the Commanders too. So 4 weeks in a row, they've gone into the second half trailing. 3 of those teams they should have lost to. The Commanders are, it is a division rival, but obviously not very a great team. But Buffalo, Dallas, and KC are all games they should have lost. They should not have won any of those games. The Buffalo game, it took a 59-yard field goal just to force overtime. They have just been escaping every single week, and we know that can't keep up. And that's exactly what I wrote in the article. You can't keep that up. There's no way you can withstand that over the course of the week when you're playing tough opponents. If they had the Giants coming up or the Jets, they did lose to the Jets, or the Carolina or something like that coming up, then you can kind of keep getting away with it. But you had a team coming in with playoff revenge on their mind, looking to make a statement, a team that is absolutely lights out on offense, top 5 in every category on offense, while the Eagles' defense is bottom 5 in every category on defense except for rushing yards. They can't stop a nosebleed. And that's going to be a big concern in the playoffs because you're not just going to be able to beat everyone in a shootout. When Jalen Hurts has the ball, he can score at any time. He can give it Swift, whoever else. He can figure out a way to score at any time. But he can't do nothing on the sidelines. He can't score and play defense. That defense is bad. I had San Fran to win this game, but I did not expect it to be 42-19. That I didn't see coming at all. But a statement game by the 49ers. I do think they are the best team in the NFC. I'm not still counting the Eagles out. But wow, what a game. A rocking chair winner for us. The Eagles had a good first quarter, and then that was it. I leaned San Fran's way too also because of the weather. I knew the weather was going to be bad. Even though the Eagles are decent stopping the run, you got McCaffrey, you can hand it off to him. And they just dinked and dunked it all night. I didn't even get to see the whole game. I didn't need to. I had to go. I went to a family event at night. But I do know everything I wrote in that article happened. And if there's any day you guys are going to tell me, it's Sundays. 11-4 in the last 15. That's the day to take it. The other plays, you don't want to take them, that's fine. They're there. The information is always going to be there. But if there's any day, it's Sunday. We're going to keep cashing those. And shout out to my guys at We Like Sports. Make sure you check their show out on Tuesdays, where the plays are posted, where our article plays are posted out. So shout out to them. But we are just absolutely almost automatic on Sundays. So make sure you guys check us out on Sundays. I saw a tweet. because the other play I liked on Sunday was the Rams. I had liked the Lions. I thought the Lions. I know historically how bad the Lions are on Thanksgiving, but with how good they've been this year, the new head coach, I didn't think that trend would continue, and they looked so bad on. They just can't. It just can't. It don't matter who's playing. I could be under center. They just can't win on Thanksgiving. So I knew it was going to be a big bounce back game for them as well. Derek Carr and the Saints. Derek Carr stinks. He's hurt again, so it was an easy bounce back spot for the Lions. Also with San Fran too, they had extra rest. They played on Thanksgiving against the Seahawks, so they had extra rest, extra time to prepare. Already coming in with motivation. Absolutely dominated the Eagles. But I saw a tweet that said, if you wake up today and don't bet against Joe Flacco, what are you even doing? What are you even doing? And is Flacco one of the worst quarterbacks ever? No, of course not. But he's 38 years old. He was signed off the practice squad. He had to play the Rams. Rams came out and took care of business. That was another play that I liked as well, too. You just had to. When a guy hasn't started a game in a year and his last start was with the Jets in a game, he shouldn't have won that day either. That crazy comeback. They came back 31-30. They had that crazy comeback against the Browns, but it was a no-brainer. That was the way I felt about betting against Joe Flacco is the same way you guys should feel about taking my plays on Sunday. No matter what, just take it and he didn't play that bad. I think he had 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, scored in the opening drive. Didn't play bad, but it just wasn't enough. The Browns have been dealing with that all year where they have the defense, especially in the dog pound. It's going to be tough to come in there and play. Myles Garrett, he keeps you in a game. Defensively, himself alone, he's a one-man wrecking crew. He could keep you in the game by himself. But this game was on the road with a 38-year-old quarterback that's signed off the practice squad. You had to go with the Rams. Like that tweet said, if you didn't wake up and take the Rams, you're not even trying to make money. So that was the easy one to rock with. Mr. Automatic, Mike Evans. I just seen it. 10 straight seasons with 1,000 receiving yards to begin a career. That's insane. Because Mike Evans has not had the best quarterbacks in his career. Besides Tom Brady, he has not had the best quarterbacks to work with. 10 straight season, 1,000. Also, that's also just so impressive, too, because you have to be healthy enough to do that. That, knock on wood, he's been able to be healthy enough to sustain that type of consistency over a decade. I mean, most people, I'm lost for words, actually, because that's incredible to even do that over a decade. 10 straight, too. It's not like he did it 10 out of 12 years or 5 out of 10 straight years, 1,000 yards or more. Mr. Automatic, I mean, it's impressive. It's just super impressive. Our play tonight, we are rocking in the NBA. Only 2 games tonight. We got the play-in game. Our play tonight, we gave it out. Pacers +6. The line has dropped to 4.5. It's been moving kind of all day. I've seen it at 5.5 earlier, now down to 4.5. So it's kind of been dancing. I think that was kind of maybe if Halliburton was going to play, if he wasn't going to play, it's kind of been dancing. So we gave it out at +6. Snooze, you lose. You got to always get the best line. The reason I like the Pacers tonight, obviously the Celtics are the better team, right? But this play-in tournament has created some motivation in the league. It absolutely has. Adam Silver has done a good job with this where players do care a little bit. And with this matchup, this is the finals for the Pacers. They're not going to be good enough to make it to the NBA finals. So this play-in tournament is their NBA finals. They're not going to be good enough to beat the Celtics in a series. They're not going to be good enough to beat the Sixers in a series. They're probably not going to be good enough to beat Milwaukee in a series. So this is their time. They can win this in-season tournament because other teams like Boston, Philly, Milwaukee, they don't care as much. Yeah, the $500,000 is a nice boost to anybody's pocket, but they don't care as much. These teams have long-term goals. They're thinking about playing in June and playing in the NBA Finals. But for the Pacers, this means a lot. And also, this team is first in the league with points per game. They can't play a lick of defense. They can't even spell it. If we played the game hangman and the word was defense, they would lose because they can't even spell defense. But they can score. They can score anytime and all the time. So while I think the Celtics still pull this out? Of course, but I like Indiana to keep this game close, +6, because they have more to play for. They care more about this. This in-season tournament to certain teams that know they're not championship contenders. This is their NBA Finals. This means a lot to them. They're going to come out tonight. I expect them to come out tonight. Halliburton is playing. So we already see there. Because if this wasn't important, it was only an illness. It wasn't he was listed with an illness. It wasn't like a serious neck injury. He's been banged up. It was just an illness. But if it didn't matter as much, might take the night off, right? But it matters. So he's going to be in there. He's going to play tonight. They're in front of their home crowd. Number one in scoring. So they're going to be able to keep up with the Celtics on the scoreboard. It's just will they be able to just get enough stops to keep themselves in the game? They can't come out and start shooting cold. Can't have a cold streak. You're not going to be able to go on a run to get yourselves back in position because you can't play defense. The Celtics would have to shoot poorly. So I think they come out tonight in front of their home crowd on TNT. This playing matters to them. For a lot of these teams, this matters because they know this is it. We're not going to be playing, and they can make the playoffs, but they're not going to be a contender. They're not going to be playing deep into the playoffs. They're more than likely a first round and out type of team. So I like I like the Pacers +6. Like I said, if you're trying to take it now, the value's gone. The lines moved down to 4.5, so the value's gone. But I like Indiana +6 tonight for our snooze you lose pick. A lot to play for. It means a lot to them. To a lot of other teams, it doesn't, but to them, the second game tonight is Kings-Pelicans. I sprinkled a little something on the Kings with the Jags first half play that I talked about because the Pelicans are just so bad on the road. CJ McCollum is back, but New Orleans is 3-6 on the road. They've lost 3 straight on the road as well, too. This is also a little bit of a revenge matchup as the Pelicans beat the Kings on November 22nd. And also the Kings are very good at home, 6-2 at home. So I like Sacramento to win this game. I got them at a plus number because I took them in the parlay with the Jags first half. But I do think they can win the game outright. Pelicans just don't play good on the road. CJ McCollum is back. I think it's his second or third game back in the lineup from that collapsed lung. Glad that he's even back out there. But the Kings, I think, take care of business just because how bad the Pelicans are on the road. So those are our plays, though. The official one, though, Pacers +6. And I also got a little parlay if you want to hop on that. Jags first half with the Kings +5.5. Jags first Monday Night Football game in 12 years. Got to come out jacked up, put on the show for the crowd tonight. Got to come out and take care of business. Other NFL, nothing else really to talk about. I mean, the week kind of went as planned. Everybody took care of business. I mean, the Steelers losing to the Cardinals, that's really that puts a hurt into them. Also, Kenny Pickett is out with an ankle injury, and somehow Mitch Trubisky still has a job. I don't understand how some dudes should just be still lingering around in the league. I don't understand how they make it that far, but he's still here. He is still here. But that Steelers, they just can't score. They can't score. So that's going to – I mean, they weren't scoring when Kenny Pickett was there either, but they fired their offensive coordinator to help out with the offense. So we'll see how that goes. That's going to be a tough stretch for them. Look ahead week, they got the Pats on deck, so they should be able to take care of business. It's going to be on a short week, though, with your backup quarterback. But New England can't score. 6-0. They lost to the Chargers. They can't score. So they got to play the Steelers in Pittsburgh on Thursday. It's a game that Pitt's really going to need. My Colts, finding ways to win. I didn't like the game at all. Thought it was a trap line. They were only getting -1 against Tennessee. They were able to pull it out in overtime. Hopefully my connection in. Hopefully you guys are still there. It's telling me bad connections. I hope you guys are still there. We're going to wrap it up shortly anyway. But my Colts still there. Still in the thick of things. They get the Bengals next week. The thing with Indy is I didn't have any expectations coming into the year because it was a rebuilding process. You drafted a young quarterback. So I didn't have high expectations coming into the season. But now, you sit 7-5. Excuse me. You sit 7-5 with a very favorable schedule. They got the Bengals, Steelers, Falcons, Raiders, they could win every single one of those games. Bengals, we know they have Joe Burrow's out for the year. Pittsburgh can't score, and you get Pitt at home. The Falcons stink. The Raiders stink. That game with the Raiders, it'll depend on where they're at in their season, how much they're still fighting. They play the Raiders December 31st, so it's depending on how much fight left is in their season. And then you got the Texans. So the playoffs are still it's a real shot. It's a legitimate shot for them to be in the playoffs. Only other game looking forward to, you get Bills Chiefs again. I mean, Buffalo's coming off a bye, and we see that KC is really, really struggling. So that one could kind of go either way. But biggest game of the week, Eagles-Cowboys once again. Dak gets a second chance in his building this time. The Eagles blown out against the 49ers. It would look right now so easy to just say, take the Cowboys. But I would probably take the Eagles to cover. I think Dallas can win, though, because of how bad Philly's defense is. But you would have to, expect the Eagles to obviously come out and get the nasty taste out of their mouth of getting blown out to the 49ers. Division rival. This game matters, too, to win the division. So it's just too easy to say Cowboys with how well they're playing. Dallas is going to obviously have extra rest, not playing since Thursday. They just played Thursday against Seattle, so extra rest for them. But I think Dak could get it done. I would not be surprised at all if the Cowboys won this game. They should have won the last one. Philly gifted the last game to them. They just couldn't finish it off. But I could see the Eagles covering this game, but the Cowboys pulling it out. If I had to make a choice right now, I would definitely take Philly with the points. You would have to expect they're going to come back and bounce back from this bad loss against the 49ers. They're 5-1 on the road, 3-0 against the division. Division title pretty much on the line as Philly sits 10-2, Cowboys at 9-3. So I would take the Eagles in the points, but it wouldn't shock me one bit if the Cowboys won that game. But other than that, no game. Ravens is going to be a good game. 7 points, I think, is a lot right now. Baltimore's getting 7 points against the Rams. I think that's a lot of points. This Rams team is healthy. They're fighting. They're well coached. They've won 3 straight. They're fighting for a playoff position. I think a touchdown is a lot. I think the Ravens are coming off a bye as well, too. Yeah, Baltimore's coming off a bye as well. But that's a lot of points against a good offense. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see how the line moves. But right now, I like the Eagles to cover. And if I was forced to, I'd probably take the Rams with the points. But my best play would probably be right now will be Philly. No other game that sticks out. I mean, the Texans should beat the Jets. Vikings Raiders is gonna be a good game. Minnesota also coming off a bye if they finally had their losing streak snapped. So see what direction they head coming off the bye. If they're Joshua Dobbs can still keep things going. But not a game I would probably financially touch. Colts, Bengals, depending on how things go tonight with Cincy. I mean, you got to take the hot hand, right? You got to keep riding Indy. How good are the Colts? The Colts are 5-1 on the road, too. You would have to take the Colts. Absolutely. But that's about it for me, guys. Other than that, like I said, everything else is kind of, Lions, Bears, Buccaneers, Falcons. Nothing I really want to get involved. But Chargers, Broncos. I would like Denver to bounce back too. I think Denver could bounce back, and I would not be surprised if the Broncos beat the Chargers in LA. We know, especially you have to take Denver +3. You know the Chargers had the most losses of 3 points or less than any team since 2020. So you would have to take Denver with the points. So I like Denver with the point. I like the Eagles with the points. And possibly, I would look into it more, but possibly the Rams with the points as well, too. But right now, tonight, go lock in. Actually, you already missed it, but Pacers +6, that's our play. If you do want to get some action, like I said, I do like Jags first half minus 2.5 with the Kings plus 5.5. It came out to like minus 109. I think the Kings get a little bit of revenge. Also, the Pelicans are really bad at home. And you get the Jaguars, their first Monday night game in 12 years. Got to come out in front of Duval and light it up. So those are my two plays. Make sure you guys follow us on all social media platforms. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Share the stream. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And in the words of the icon, Billy Walters, I've had some losing weeks. I've had some losing months. Never had a losing year. Snooze, You Lose podcast. Till next time.